Here we are with Anthea White. Hello, Anthea.
Hello, Sean.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's good. Okay, we've got the niceties out of the way now.
Excellent.
And the first question is, how did you start singing?
Professionally or just in general?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, did you sing at school or?
I sang when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like primary school. I used to sing in high school in like the musicals and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But I was very musical in primary school, and then when I hit high school, I suddenly just turned to sports. I became a real sport head, so my music just fell by the wayside. And
What sports did you do?
softball.
Oh.
I used to play quite competitive softball, touch footy, basketball. Wasn't very good at basketball, but netball, loads of stuff.
And you still
And
do that,
swimming.
right? Still play any sport?
I don't, and I really miss it. Last summer I had this craving to play softball. I was just craving it. So I thought I'm going to go and find a league, just a local, no mess, no fuss kind of thing. And I went to a tryout. It was so embarrassing. So I went to this tryout, and this is over in Williamsburg, and they're like men and women teams, and apparently, to my shock, only 2 women are allowed to be on the field at one time.
Yuck.
And I was like, okay, fair enough. That's just the rules of this tournament. Who am I to judge what the rules should be? So anyway, I went to the tryout, and I had a good first bat, everything. I fielded well, but then nobody selected me.
Oh.
So I didn't get to join a team, and I got all deflated, and
That was the end.
and that was it. I was like, okay, next season.
Start your own team.
That's what I was thinking, but all women. I want all
girls.
women. Yeah, and fast pitch. They do slow pitch, which is really boring.
So what? A fast pitch means you throw over on a baseball? Or?
No, fast pitch is windmill,
Oh yeah.
and the slow pitch is just like a really lame back and forward.
Oh really?
So it's more about just, hitting
Smacking
huge.
the ball as far as
Yeah,
you can.
smacking it. Yeah.
Oh, and were you good at pitching or batting?
I was a catcher,
Behind the batsman?
behind kind of directing where the play's going to go, and
You sort of touch your nose and...
yeah, you have like signals with the pitcher, what's going where, and
That's
it's
cool.
funny. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, so it wasn't until after high school, I was actually in university, and I just thought, I've always wanted to sing. I'm just going to start taking singing lessons. And I found this crazy guy, started having lessons with him, and then he moved to Lismore to build a mud brick house or something. So I somehow, through a friend, found Joy Yates.
So
and-
this is in Sydney?
This is in Sydney,
Is
yeah.
that where you grew up in Sydney?
Grew up in Sydney, yeah. Yeah, so I found Joy, and then joined Jubilation, and just gradually it just started taking over my life. And I was working in the community sector, like I had a full-time kind of office job, and then somehow the music just gradually took over, and I then started working part-time, and I was just went hard. It just felt right. So
Do you think if it wasn't for Joy that wouldn't have happened, or was it going to happen anyway? She was just...
that's an interesting question.
She was a facilitator, or
I mean,
did she push you over the edge?
I think it was the community that Joy created, because I mean, being in Jubilation was my university, my music school, because I didn't study music in college, university. So being there was where I learnt everything.
Stuff.
I learnt stuff, and it was really inspiring, and really, it was a really motivating group. And it was, although we were kind of like an amateur kind of vocal ensemble, there are a lot of people at the time, we were all at the same stage where we were just starting to edge into being more serious about it. So we all kind of grew and flew together out of that, and it was It was really amazing. So yeah, I think Joy definitely had a huge impact on that, and just that community of people was amazing.
Let me turn my phone off. And so, you're still in touch with those people from that?
Absolutely. I mean,
sort of your family, you think? Like
definitely.
Second family?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of my best friends are through that experience. So.
And you still keep in touch with them?
Still keep in touch with them.
Talk to them on Skype?
Talk on Skype all the time, which is really wonderful.
Plug my phone in so it doesn't go flat.
You should do that. You should do that.
Sorry, viewers.
I'm just going to grate some pepper while we're at it on my roll.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely still in touch with people, and obviously one of my best friends that we met through Jubilation was Orly,
She's in New York as
who's
well.
been in New York. She actually moved here before we did. She was here for 2 years before we came over.
Coming
Yeah, I mean, definitely she did. But I think it was just something we knew we wanted to do, and so it was much easier knowing that there was someone here. I mean, Mark and I had each other anyway, but just having someone else on the ground was, someone that is such a good friend, because it's really hard when you just suddenly you're away from everything you know so well and so comfortable, and you've got all your friends there, and then suddenly it's hard. So
yeah, did it put stress on your relationship with Mark?
Not at all.
Just made it better.
Not at all. Made it better. I mean, we got engaged after the first year of being
That's
here.
Nice.
So yeah, it was an amazing experience. I mean, coming here, it just literally we were staying in this really cool pad in the West Village that we were subletting, which we later found out illegally, which is why we got kicked out. But we had this cool pad with an amazing spot, and we were just, it was awesome. What an experience. Just coming to New York was being in the environment, and it's just really hard to explain. It's just, it just felt like home straight away.
And what was your impression of the music when you came here that you saw? Were you
surprised by...
Did it meet your expectations, or did you have expectations?
Oh, absolutely. Even the area where we lived, the West Village, they're just in the vicinity of our home. There were 5 insane jazz venues, jazz clubs. I mean, when we first got here, we did see a lot of jazz, and we were trying to see as much kind of soul music as we could.
Did you find it hard to find that here?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of R&B, but there weren't as many kind of, there's not much soul, because I guess soul as well these days, what's the term? It's so general. I was always on the hunt for something like, Jackie Orzaski, that kind of environment, that energy, and that, I don't know, that kind of, that feeling. So I was always on the hunt for that. I never really found it, to be honest.
And Joy's choir had quite a sort of gospel-y thing about it too.
Yeah, it had a very jazz gospel root.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, Joy and Dave, it was their musical influence that influenced the sound of the group. So
yeah, is Joy more sort of soul, and is Dave more jazz? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to answer that.
Okay,
I mean,
it's not a test.
No, I know. I don't think so. I think they're definitely both very jazz inspired and motivated, but also, I mean, their careers have spanned pop, soul, rock, everything.
You did a gig in a hotel, right? That's where you met Mark. And were you singing jazz standards in that gig?
No, we didn't meet there.
But that's where you sort of got together.
Well, that's where we got together in Japan, yeah.
Yeah. Were you
We were
standards,
singing.
or what were you singing?
We were singing, yeah, jazz, soul, groove, and obviously pop.
Yeah.
Pop, the I Will Always Love You stuff.
Right. And was the Jubilation Choir, were you singing standards in that as well? I don't know.
We did Blue Skies. We did an
Right.
arrangement of Blue Skies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, yeah, jazz and bluesy kind of stuff. And we also would do like the gospel stuff. This little light of mine. So we did like cool versions of that. They were really great arrangements. That was the foundation for me for just my listening skills and blending harmony. Being an alto as well, really having the melody.
Were they Dave's arrangements?
Dave arranged them, and then there were also just some arrangements by
That found somewhere.
yeah. Jade actually even did some arrangements, which were awesome.
I bet.
Yeah, so cool.
So you didn't really find a scene like that in New York?
I mean,
Other than going to the Village Underground.
yeah, I mean the
which
Village
is sort of a
Underground.
jam session. It's kind of more of it's sort of the Wild West version of
Yeah.
the Rose of Australia.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it's also the Sunday nights, which is the Cheryl Pepsi. The Monday nights, the Cheryl Pepsi Riley one is just a vocalist. It's more. I wouldn't really call it even a jam.
Yeah.
It's not a jam. It's a sit-in. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Okay.
Where you can be moved to tears,
Yeah.
or you can be
You want to throw stuff?
moved to fits of laughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I guess also we kind of came here on a mission and
To do your own stuff.
to do our own stuff, and that was the decision we'd made. So,
It's interesting. When I came here, it was the opposite. I wanted to be a sideman,
yeah,
and I felt like I hadn't done enough of that in Australia.
yeah. Yeah, so that was the absolute opposite for us. Not that we'd done a lot of sideman stuff, but we'd done all the corporates and
Yeah. Commercial music.
yeah, it was just
You wanted to get away from that a bit.
yeah. Yeah, we might not have had to have left Australia to do that, but I think it's made it a lot easier to do it here than in Australia, because people here are just so much more open to the style of music that we do.
Are they?
Absolutely, it's just so much more. I mean, this is all of our influences are from this country. So, well, let me rephrase that. A lot of our major musical influences are from here. So people here are just, this is such a bigger audience for that, the history of that music and soul music, real R&B, the real original R&B music.
Were you surprised when you heard the singing at that Village Underground? Did that surprise you? Was that what you expected? I mean, not when you heard someone bad. I mean, when you heard someone that was good,
I was...
were you surprised? How was it different to how you expected?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty amazing to see. It was shocking. Not shocking. It was just confronting to hear all these incredible singers who... They're not people. Well, they're not people that are pursuing a singing career. They sing in their church, and that's just natural within them. Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit! Like, that's just a natural raw thing coming out of them, So, to see that it was very confronting and very like your ego takes a big hit as well. But at the same time, you really start questioning. You start questioning yourself, but in a positive way, and really, okay, this is who I am. I'm not that. I'm not Aretha Franklin. I love that music. I'm so inspired by it. I wish I could sing like that, but I can't. I never will. So you kind of, by seeing that, you can start embracing your own. Embracing, I hate that word, but you can really start just accepting who you are and your sound, because here it's acceptable. it's acceptable to kind of be in a soul band but sound more like Carole King than Aretha or something like that. It's just accepted here.
I've started singing the blues in America, which really surprises me.
Really?
Yeah, really does.
Why? Because you think you shouldn't
I
be?
never did. Well, no. It's something I never did, but I think that I feel like that I missed the experiences that I had in Australia playing that sort of music with people like Jackie and all of those people that he surrounded himself and taught how to play. That I think I missed that so much that I had to do it.
Yeah.
And part of doing it meant singing the blues, which is
cool.
sort of something I just think, I should be the very last person on earth to do that.
But why? Because, I mean, that's what blues music is. I mean, that's what music is, isn't it? It's just self-expression. It's like, you got something to say, I'm going to put it, that's how I'm expressing it.
But I've never studied it at all. Never, learnt one lick, not one chop, or so I don't know. It's funny.
What do you mean? You've never listened to any blues music?
I've listened to buckets of it, but I've never
Well, that's kind of studying.
Never sat there and listened to something that Donny Hathaway sang and then tried to sing it after or sang along with him or studied it because I've studied jazz piano in that way. I've memorised solos and I probably should do that if I continue to sing the blues. But I also feel that's it works on a gig. That singing, I can write funny old songs with chord changes and musically interesting stuff, and I can make it work on the computer with overdubs and But then if I try and recreate those things on a gig, it's really hard. But singing the blues, it works.
It's the
and
simplicity.
People like it.
Yeah.
And it connects with people.
Yep.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a really interesting thing to go through, coming here and singing the blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it did take me a long time to get the courage to do it. Because I did feel like such an imposter.
Exactly, that's true. I agree with that. It's that, I mean, even the classification of styles, like classifying yourself as soul or it's a heavy weight, and you're right, there's almost this sense of embarrassment that I'm not from here, I'm not, it's almost like you're redefining it, but it's still got the same tag.
Do you know that I was just thinking of that story of Renee Gayer coming here and moving to LA, and she could get gigs singing with everyone, singing backups, because she could sing so good. But she couldn't get a career going
Break
as
out.
Renee Gayer, and the record company suggested that they put a picture of a black girl on the cover, and then that they'd be able to sell it. And she said, "Don't be stupid." And then I think at that point she kind of rethought everything and packed up and went back to Australia.
And so that's the reason they thought, is just that her image didn't match what people were hearing.
Wikipedia about it,
All right. Gotta believe that.
So it's probably a lot of crap.
Yeah. But that's true. I mean, I guess lots of amazing Australian artists have come over here, and it just hasn't melded with the community. But I think with the culture, but if Renee Gayer came over here now, would it be different?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's true, but I really feel connected to her singing as well, more than Aretha Franklin. Even though maybe it's coming out of that, she can really, grab me.
And that's amazing. I mean, that's, I think, as a singer, as a performer, as a player, a singer, whatever, it's to have an impact on someone listening to your music. For me, that's what it's about. If you can impact a person,
Mm.
if you can inspire something in them, or just, I know it sounds lame, but I mean, what's the point otherwise? It's not just about you doing it. It's about other people experiencing it.
I'm going to just shift the thing another way now. Just I've asked other people this question. Like, what's the difference between the band you have in New York and the band you have in Australia in terms of the hang and what happens at the end of the gig? The gig that you finish the last song and the gig's over. What's the difference? Is there a difference?
That's hard.
Is that a mean question?
No, it's, I mean,
just culturally.
Well, I think the difference here now for us, like right at the moment, is the shows that we play they're important, but it's not the same as in Australia. In Australia, we did a show, it was like months of planning, advertising, promotion. Before the gig, you're really like anxious because normally you're the one that's like got the weight of the whole show on your shoulders. And then at the end of it, it's just like, oh my God, and you collapse and everyone kind of packs up and gets in their car and goes. Or maybe sometimes you go to Golden Century or something.
If it was a good night.
If it was a good night. But yeah, so here it's different. No one drives to their gigs, yet usually. Sometimes our drummer does. No one drives. We do 45 minutes. The only promotion we do is we post it on Facebook and kind of let people know. We don't do posters or anything like that anymore. So afterwards, it's like, it's a hang, because a lot of the gigs we're doing at the moment are at Rockwood anyway, where there's another band on straight after us. So we like get off stage, everyone goes to the bar next door and hangs out, has a drink, talks. I mean, definitely you hang more. Yes, that was a long way of answering that.
Oh, that's good.
We do hang more, definitely. Also there's usually a lot of other musicians around as well. Just because it's Rockwood and they're hanging out, so there's always a hang.
Do you think that that's ever possible in Sydney, that sort of environment?
I think it does. I think it happens in like different kind of sectors of the scene. I think kind of the scene that we were in, it kind of wasn't like that. But I think there are other scenes that are like
It used to be in 1992.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There was gigs at Kinsella's.
I wish you guys could see Sean's face. Wait, let's do a little.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got caught.
Okay. Head. Hi, viewers.
Okay, yeah, 1992.
1992, there were gigs at Kinsella's, and also at Mr. Good Bar. There was sort of acid jazz, but musicians were coming together from different parts of the music scene. Like there were people who were rock guys who liked funk, and then there were jazz people who liked funk, and then there were people who were just really into funk.
Yeah.
And everyone was hanging and playing, and I haven't seen that happen again like that. Except, I mean, people will go to see Jack Yazowski at the Rose when he was alive.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean...
But Kinsella's used to happen every night. There were gigs like every night, and people used to go, and it was free to get in, like Rockwood. It was this really similar thing, like you'd play, and people were talking, and you could win them over.
Yeah.
With the music, if it was
see,
good enough.
That's the thing, the free thing.
And people were just walking off the street, and they'd sort of, they'd be like, oh, this band's cool. And we built up an audience just with Banana, we just kept doing gigs.
Well, see, this is the interesting thing.
Turn the camera in.
Okay, because...
You're the pretty one.
Oh, yes. The interesting thing is with the whole free concept, I think in Australia, and of course I'm generalising here, and this is just my opinion, it's very the concept is you make money at the door. That's where you make money. The venue thinks that, and the bands, that's how they make their money. But when you have a free entry, and I'm not saying it works in every situation, there's paid gigs here as well. It's not like every gig's free. But when you're kind of fresh and starting out and trying to build a crowd, having a free entry is such an obvious thing, because as you say, you've got people just walking in off the street. They're like, oh, who's this? What's that? Oh, I really love these guys. I'm going to go buy their CD, or I'm going to come to their next gig, or it's...
Kinsell's used to play the band too. It was a good paying gig.
Yeah. I mean, there are paid gigs in Sydney. That's the one great thing. You've got Opera Bar, the Willara, not that it's very... hasn't changed in however many millions of years. You know... We
did quite well on Sunday though, because we had two bands, which was really the same band. And by the end of 2 sets, we'd actually...
Is this at Kinsella's?
No, this was last Sunday at the Rockwood. I did a gig, and then my friends did a gig. And then, but by the end of 2 sets, and it was packed, by the end of 2 sets, we'd actually probably got as much money as we used to get at Kinsella's.
But see,
so
that's
it
good.
wasn't too bad.
What time slots did you play?
9 and 10 on a Sunday night.
That's awesome.
So that was cool.
But you are Sean Wayland.
No, we had Keith Cole playing the drums.
And
there
Keith
was a
Cole.
lot of drums there.
Yeah.
Talking to me about drumsticks after
Yeah.
the evening. There's a lot of that.
That's awesome.
We were enabling them to have a good time. But we managed to pay Keith pretty well. So, as good as I'd pay him if I played at the 55 bar or a venue that actually paid the band. So it's, it's cool. It's lucky. But it's hard to do it if you just do one set.
Yeah, that's right.
Hard to get enough.
And it's the timing as well that matters.
Did you start off with a bad time slot, or?
Yeah, I think the first time slot we did, Mark and I did a duo. I think we got 3 days after we arrived. I was so nervous. I was so scared. I think it's the worst I've ever sounded in my life. I think we played at like 6 p.m. on a Saturday or something. It still was a Saturday, but like 6 p.m. there was still light coming through the curtains and stuff. So.
Well, that was all they would ever give me, and then I got banned because I could never get anyone to go.
Oh yeah. Well, so who can you get to go at 6 o'clock on a Saturday?
There were even gigs at 5, I think.
Yeah.
So I did a few of those, and I think some people came to one of them. I don't know. I remember doing gigs to like 3 people there.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Well, we can't book you anymore because you didn't book crowds." Okay,
Yep. They're not the only venue in town, so I mean that's a good thing.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. Yeah. So you just, I mean, that's the good thing about New York, is that you can perform more often, right? Than you can in Sydney. Do you think? How often do you play at the Rockwood Musical?
I mean, we at the moment it's a bit different, but on average we do once a month. We did have a residency there. We were playing fortnightly. It was fun. It was really cool, and I think we really were able to build up a bit of a following. So now every time we play there, the room's pretty awesome. Big, but at the same time, we're still playing 11 p.m. midnight, and by that time, it's a great crowd, but no one wants to tip. By that hour, everyone's already tipped out. So, but again, that's not as long as we get names on our mailing list.
How many names do you get every time you play? Do you think?
It depends, actually. Sometimes we can get 10 or 15 or more. And sometimes you might get 5.
Do you sell CDs sometimes at the gigs too?
Not really at Rockwood.
Not at Rockwood.
It's weird. Don't really sell merch there. Yeah, we've sold at a few of other spaces, rooms, but...
And did you have any sort of serious goals when you arrived, or?
Oh yeah.
Really?
We had.
Did you have a big list? Somewhere?
We actually had, before we even got here, I was in contact with this record label that were interested in us, and or management company. I don't even know what they were anymore. I was like, yeah, we're going over there, and we've got all this set up, and then that completely fizzled out. And I think gradually, as time went, like we still kept this dream, this kind of goals happening. But then gradually, I'm going to sound a bit bitter, but I think gradually we kind of started to realise more, okay, I think we need to really become more of this scene first. And also, I think we really needed to grow a lot more before anything major was or is going to happen to us. So
musically, you mean?
Yeah, I think we've grown so much.
Well, that's cool.
Even
nice.
since that first gig we did here at Rockwood, we've just expanded so much.
Or you got better at singing, or
yeah, everything, all above.
Dancing?
Dancing, not so much, but definitely performance, just the performance, giving it out, and definitely our songwriting has. I don't know if it's gotten better. It's just changed. It's changed a lot. It's adapted to our environment and just our situation, what we're going through. It's a bit more of a, you feel the urgency of the struggle a bit more in our writing now. So it's a bit deeper. Yeah, it's a bit darker, a bit deeper, a bit heavier. But also that's the players that we're playing with. The guys that we're now playing with are a bit they're not darker, they're not deeper, it's just the way that they've kind of tailored our music. There's only so much we can do, then it's up, it's the band, it's the rhythm section. They've got a huge part to play in it.
And have your goals changed now? What have you still got plans?
Our goals have changed in terms of they're more lifestyle goals. That we want our life to be like this.
You want a boat?
No, I don't want a boat. I don't want a boat. I think, more just we want our success to make this possible. And I think Mark, it's interesting because Mark and I operate very differently. I'm more like, I just want to get started on things and go, and he's more just... No, he's the opposite. He's more like, let's just relax and step back a bit. And so it's kind of tricky. Not tricky, but it's just we operate differently. So he's really had an impact on me. I've tried to relax a lot more, though he'd argue totally against that. But I think I've chilled out a lot. But still, that sense of urgency that we're here for one thing. Our baby is our music. Where I don't want to start a family till that's happening, and it's really hard. It's really hard for other people to understand that as well, that aren't in our world, that it's, we might be broke, we might be working jobs we don't want to be working in, but we still have our goal in mind. Like, we still know what we're going for, and we're going for it. As hard as it is. And, I think finding the struggle here has been really important. I'm really glad that we're struggling, because it really helps define something much deeper inside you that you don't find playing wedding gigs. And I'm not putting that down. I know people do what you got to do to make money, but for us where we were in Australia, it was
a bit too easy.
It was just we never
you're rolling along
hit the struggle
with a glass of champagne and everything was fine.
Everything was dandy.
It was a nice day and the sun
bills were paid on time.
The sun was shining on the water.
Yep. It was all pretty and perfect. Yeah, so I'm digging the struggle. As hard as it is.
And how long does it go on for? I've asked other people this question, which is another curly one. If you were doing exactly the same thing that you're doing now, in 10 years' time, would you feel like it was time to go back to Australia? You're doing the same gigs, playing at Rockwood Music Hall, filling the Rockwood Music Hall, working your little jobs.
First of all, that is not going to be the case.
Yeah, good.
If suddenly we're in 10 years down the track and that was happening, I wouldn't go back. I would
do something
be
else?
Making changes to something. I don't know what. That's the thing. People always ask you, how long are you going to do it until you give up? Yeah. Not give up, but until you go back kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take. I have no idea. And I can't even guesstimate.
But isn't success just sort of something you just sort of... I think this is an Australian perception of it, that because there's so many few people that seem to have any success there. There's like Vince Jones, and there's James Morrison, and there's Billy Field, you know, and there hasn't been a Billy Field since 1982, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like people have this thing that like you either succeed or you don't. But I feel like in America that it's just kind of more of a slope, that you can always improve, you can always find more fans and find more gigs and sell more records, but I don't know that. Where would you want to be? I mean, I was asking about what your goals are. I mean, what is it? When do you know that you've got there?
Yeah, I mean,
you're doing much better than when you arrived. You're killing it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in a sense, yeah, and it's...
You're not killing it like Adele, but you're killing it in terms of what you've built for yourselves.
Exactly, and I mean, I've thought about this a lot. What is success, and what does it mean? What defines it? And I think, I don't know, the thing that I keep coming back to is that success is happiness. I know that is so...
It's a good definition of it.
Lame, but I think it is being happy in what you're doing. And you may not be making money doing that, but if you're happy, if you're day to day doing what you're doing and you're feeling good about it, then you're successful. I mean, now goals, that's another thing. Certainly, I think Mark and my goal is to
give up your day job.
Is definitely not be having to do day jobs. No babysitting. I'm happy to say it. Yes, I babysit. As much as I actually love it, I love the families I sit for, but no babysitting, no working for anybody else, doing my own thing, and being invited to perform places, not having to contact people, have a booking agent that is constantly, you've got your calendar booked up.
So how are you going to get there?
Well, first of all, write really good songs.
Yeah.
And refine and master those songs and get them sounding killer. And that's why we're working with Justin, because he is really helping us. It's a new tact.
He's an Australian guy who's a well-known producer.
Yeah.
He lives in LA.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Mark talked about him.
Yeah. So I think
he's helping.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's producing the album and producing our songs, so having great songs, have the songs. And I don't know, I believe if you have a really good song and you do the right things, promoting it, putting it out there somehow, if it's a good song, people are going to want it, and it's going to word of mouth, it's going to get out there. I mean, sure, if we have...
Why not sing Heading in the Right Direction then? I mean, no one's in America's heard that.
I'm not Renee Gayer and I don't sound like her.
No, but I mean, that's a great
Why not
song.
do a cover?
Yeah, I mean, whatever, But I mean, I just think it's an interesting song in terms of that, but I'm sure no one here has ever heard it.
Really? Yeah.
No one here would know that song from Bar of Soap. You could sing that at the Rockwood Music Hall, people would probably go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could. You could do a really quirky cover of some disgusting pop song and people are like, whoa, cool. Yeah, you could do that.
But are some of your goals artistic goals as well? Is that why you're writing music? Is that why you want to write a really good song?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I mean, certainly you want to... There's a drive within to convey something in the best possible way, a feeling or a situation or experience, in a way that lots of people are going to like it and lots of people are going to enjoy it and get something from it. I mean, we have a lot of more creative ideas that we want to move on. But I think what we're doing with this record is we are trying to do that. We're integrating more electronic elements to it that we've never done before, and trying to... We're actually drawing on a lot of new influences that, you know, it's not often that I will get an album or find an artist that I just become obsessed with these days that isn't from the 1960s or the 70s or, you know, the 40s or the 50s. So these days when I'm that influenced by somebody, they're going to impact on my music in some way.
Have you heard people live that have sort of changed your life musically that you wouldn't have heard if you hadn't moved to New York?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, there are so many amazing artists here that are nobodies. I mean, nobodies in terms of...
Yeah, they're not Adele.
Yeah. You've got something with Adele.
No, just as an example.
She's your reference point.
Someone who's like super successful. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to some shows here where maybe we've played a gig, like at the living room or something, and then someone's come on after us, and you know, you kind of mull about and just think, oh, I'll just check them out. And some people have floored me. And I just think, whoa, I wasn't expecting to be moved by just someone performing at the living room after me.
Right.
But is that what other people are thinking? Do people come to these venues expecting to not be moved? Or is that just my...
jaded.
Yeah. But is that just a commercial world's stigma? That if you're not known, if you don't have...
Well, I don't think it's changed for me. I mean, I used to go to see music. I mean, I would go to the Hope Town and hear all the bands, and most of them were shit.
Yeah.
And every now and again something would grab you, and it was sort of, in that situation I could, for the most part, I could put my musical training aside, and I still feel the same way if I do a gig at the living room or wherever, and then finish and someone else comes on, and it's the same thing. I don't expect the music to be good when I stand in front of it.
Yeah, well, see, that's exactly it. Yeah.
But every now and again, someone will surprise you and move you.
Yeah.
Did you think that, this is another silly question, I know I'm asking silly questions today.
They're not
but
silly.
Did you think that, like, when you saw that someone like Gautier, I don't know how to spell his name. Gautier, thank you. When you see, excuse my ignorance, Goiter. What's that thing like a Hodgkin's?
Goiter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goiter.
But I mean, if you see someone like that succeed in his bedroom in Melbourne, does that make you rethink living in New York? Is living in New York
sometimes
necessary anymore?
Yeah, sometimes it does. But then I just think, you know what, that's his journey, and my journey's being here. And I really love it here. I will never feel the rush I feel here in Sydney. I might in Melbourne, I don't know, I have never lived there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. It does get me thinking when someone who's an Australian band comes over here and I go see them, like we saw Hiatus Coyote the other night. And they were insane, so good. And I was like, well, they're in Australia and...
Straight out of Melbourne.
Yeah, they're straight out of Melbourne. They're doing it, and they don't have to, like, struggle over here.
They've got a sort of neo-soul...
Yeah, they're a bit more neo-soul-y than us.
A bit younger than you guys. So
well, maybe.
But the aesthetic's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean,
Slightly different generation.
Yeah. They've warranted their success, you know. But I think we needed to be here to be where we are now. We wouldn't have got there if we were in Australia. That's just us, our situation.
And did you, I mean, this is another curly question. When you saw people getting blown up in Boston, did you think about coming back to Australia when you saw all that? And can you imagine if it had been the terrorist attacks?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
or if just even what had happened in Boston had happened in Times Square, would you have thought about coming back to Australia?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
I don't know. it's a good question. For a split second, I was like, this is a reality check of the seriousness of living in this country as well. You know, this country is a target, and it was scary. But then I was like, I don't know. I kind of feel that Maine. I don't know. It is hard to answer.
How did you feel in Australia when you saw the terrorist attacks from the other side of the world?
I was shocked. I was devastated. I think.
Were you frightened?
I was frightened, and I tried.
You thought the world was going to end, or
no? I just
World War III was about to start.
I did feel that there was something big. Yeah, it did feel like, okay, we're not going to hear the end of this for a long time. There is going to be another world war, or you know, whatever that even means.
Do you know how many Australians that were here then?
No.
It's Nadia and me. Is there anyone else?
I don't know who else was here. I actually think that...
What about Ben Butler? Do you know him very well? No.
I don't know him very well, no. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just sort of raving again, but I see that as a real dividing line in the Australians here, and I'm surprised how different everyone is that came after. You know?
In what way?
They're just lighter, and yeah, they don't have the same sense of gravity about this place.
For sure. I mean, that's an experience that, I don't know. I couldn't imagine actually being in it. I couldn't imagine it.
And the other thing that's different about you guys is that you came here after the internet, and that you weren't here. Can you imagine being here when there was no Skype or email?
Oh yeah, I mean, I travelled the world before all of that, and it was the same thing. You'd write letters to people, and you really, really missed people. It's very different. But yeah, I never lived somewhere else, so I can't imagine that. I can imagine.
So what's your best New York story?
Oh gosh, my best New York story. Oh, put me on the spot here.
Sorry. Entertain us now.
Sorry. Oh, best New York story.
Best gig you've seen?
One of the best gigs I've seen
Apart from my gigs.
Apart from yours, of course, yeah. Oh, jeez. So many good gigs.
What's one that stands out?
I think Esperanza Spalding. First time I saw her live was at the Summer Stage.
She can sing.
She blew me away. I was just like, this girl is insane. Yeah. I mean, I knew who she was already.
Talented little so-and-so.
But yeah, she's hot, plays bass like a badass, sings incredibly, and just was so sassy on stage. Yeah. She was amazing. Nick Acosta was another person I recently saw who just... That was so inspiring. And that was one of the most recent shows I've seen that really blew me away.
I saw her sing with Jackie Zowski.
Really?
Nika and Tina and Lily.
Oh...
and Jack, and there was a little bit of tension between the girls.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think just like good tension. It wasn't like nasty. It was just there was a little bit of competitive tension. Yeah. Because Nika was successful, and so it's like it was cool.
That's awesome. Oh, I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, I remember that was cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're running out of time, so one last question.
Yep.
Where are you going to be in 10 years' time? What are you going to be doing?
10 years' time.
Not what you want to be doing. You have to guess what you're going to be doing.
Okay.
Not say I'll be on my yacht. Can't say that. Be on my yacht, parked parked in the East River and I'll swan over to Rockwood. You can't say that.
No, in 10 years' time, there'll be multiple residences owned.
Ooh.
Mainly living on our farm in Woodstock, where we're going to have a studio course with an incredible garden of like all organic foods, a little chicken pen, and yeah, just between that will be touring and playing and writing music and travelling the world.
Couple of kids?
With some kids, yeah.
Have you thought about having children without any parents around?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that. Yeah, that's...
Did you talk to your parents about it?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I think if I was younger, I probably would, but being at this age, it's, you know...
When they're 6 years old, would you feel like that you wanted them to have the chance of running around in the sun at the beach?
Yeah, that's the one challenge.
With all the happy people. And
Australia's a great place to grow up.
So how are you going to deal with that?
Dunno. Cross that bridge when we get to it.
All right. Well, I'll leave it at that. I'll let you go.
Sounds good.
Thanks so much, Anthea.
Thanks, Sean.
So nice to talk to you.
You too.